We on Zoom, vroom, vroom. Everybody in the room, room. I'm just chilling. Everybody want to take a couple pills. Is it red or is it blue? I don't know.
Good work.
That was fire, bro.
Thank you. I've been practicing a lot. And that's actually my next song. It's called Zoom Zoom.
Zoom, zoom, vroom, vroom.
Zoom, zoom,
It's
vroom,
called
vroom, red or blue.
Zoom Vroom Vroom. in the room.
Media channeling to you.
And then it's featuring Red Pill, Blue Pill. All right. Welcome to Why on Earth, everybody. Thank you for tuning in for another episode, another interview episode here in quarantine. Today we have a special guest who happens to be my younger brother. And we're going to talk to him today about a whole wide variety of things. And he's got some really interesting, cool stuff that he's a part of. Austin Watkins, thank you for being a part of this Zoom podcast with us.
Thank you for having me. I'm very appreciative. Liam, Marquis, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We're excited to have you on. And I'm excited to talk to you about mushrooms. But first, we're going to assume that our audience doesn't know who you are. Tell us a little bit about you, your story. Make it a little brief, but we want to know who you are, what you do.
I can say that right now I feel very blessed of the life that I have lived to get to this point. But if I were to go back to, elementary school, middle school, high school, I can't really say I was present as I am now, because in the past I was viewing myself from the outside, going through these patterns, these routines, these actions that I didn't feel like served my highest good, but they were necessary steps that needed to be taken to reach where I am now. So I was very active in sports and athletics. I ended up, I just loved running. I loved moving my body. I loved expressing myself. I think that comes from our mother. She's a personal trainer. She's fitness coach, health expert. She's taught us a lot, and I feel really blessed to have her as a mother. I feel blessed to have her father. He's much more logic-based. He's more grounded in finances and how to run a household and how to raise a family. Raise a family of 3 kids when he came from not being a father at all. So, I think going through early life into childhood into where I am right now, there's been a lot of steps that continually move upward. It seems like the slope gets more intense. The energy builds up more intensely as it is now, as it was in the past. But being that I'm present, I can take the action steps necessary to really bring about what I want in this reality, Whereas in the past it was go to school, it was do homework, it was do things that maybe didn't interest me, focus on projects that didn't interest me.
I mean, I was there. There was this assumption of tradition that we were brought up in, and that we were kind of expected in a way to live out. There's school, sports, and school, and all of those things were extremely necessary for my growth and for me becoming who I am, and as well as you. And you and I kind of broke away from those ties around the same time when I went to LA and did my thing for a little while, and then I came back to San Diego, and that's where you and I started experimenting with certain things and deep diving into information. And but I think through that you started to build a love for a specific thing. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what it is that you're up to now, but what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. So something that I delved into after high school was, I went to San Diego State for 2.5 years. I had noticed at a point in time that maybe the school wasn't serving me. Maybe I wasn't taking action in the areas that I wanted to. So I ended up dropping out of school, and I ended up focusing on my health, my nutrition, what I'm filling myself with. I ended up being vegan for about 2 years, and I'm reaching the point where I'm going to talk about fungus. But I think a huge part of what was veganism for me was consuming mushrooms. I noticed that mushrooms, when I ate them, had a really powerful effect in my body. I felt very grounded. I felt nourished. My skin cleared up. Overall, I felt like I had a lot more energy than maybe I had in the past. And there was one point, after high school where there was a catalyzed change. And that change came through experiencing psychoactive mushrooms. So that would be Psilocybe cubensis. And they contain active components psilocybin and psilocin. And through sitting with these plants and generally higher doses, I could feel intense energy building inside of me. But the energy was telling me to move in a different direction than the direction that I had been moving in prior. I was working at Pizza Hut or Aqua Pro Swim School as well. Like, I was in chlorine all the time teaching children. I loved it, but during that time, I was drinking lots of alcohol, I was smoking cannabis daily and tobacco. So these were things that maybe weren't serving me at the time. And psilocybin, the mushroom, kind of brought me through some waves into the next step of my life, kind of pushed me forward, which I can say now my focus over the past 4 years has changed from, using mushrooms for their psychoactive benefits to working with medicinal mushrooms to cultivating mushrooms and being able to now produce medicine and resources for those in my family, for those in my close circle of friends, and for those, in this community. Which, speaking of it, I got to get both of you lion's mane powder. That's the truth.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. Just that whole process. And I can only hope that when I speak about a specific type of mushrooms that I sound as eloquent as you did. And I'm curious, you just mentioned you want to get us some lion's mane. As someone who, for me, like, texture is really important. And so, like, things like bananas, things like mushrooms, like when they are in a dish, it just really, like, I don't like it. So what would you say to someone like me who,
Yeah. So I've been very similar in the past. I've had the same sort of thought process, that the dislike for texture of mushrooms. I grew up hating mushrooms. I ended up breaking through that, and I do eat a lot of fresh or cooked mushrooms. It's all about the way that you cook them. Let's say if you want to have fresh mushrooms, you want to try it, but you don't want to have that kind of icky, chewy texture, right? The best way to do it would be take coconut oil or grapeseed oil, put it in a pan, slice your mushrooms thin, and you're going to put them on a low heat on a frying pan, and you'll cook them for an extended period of time, maybe 20 minutes, and you'll see that they'll turn a nice golden brown on both sides, and they'll be a little more crispy. You'll get the flavor out of them, put salt, pepper, garlic, whatever you feel. That's a way. The next way, which you might enjoy even more, would be in tea. So you could take mushroom powders, and there are supplements you can find at Sprouts, at Whole Foods, Vons. I got to be real with you, I haven't actually checked Vons for them. I don't think Vons would have them.
I don't think Vons. Your Whole Foods, your local, like, co-op
food
or,
store, co-op, exactly. Yeah, they'll carry powders, and in the powders you can add that to just about anything. So tea, into protein shakes, you can put it in water and drink it. What I do is I'll put it in a soup or a stew or bread, or I'll throw it on top of, if I'm going to consume eggs, if I'm going to consume, just about anything. Powder can be used in anything and in everything, and the heat will activate, or it will break down the cell wall of the mushroom and will allow you to absorb all the nutrients. So for the lion's mane powder that I'll get you, you could put it in tea every morning. This morning I had cacao, cinnamon, cloves, and lion's mane powder with a little bit of natural honey and bee pollen. So
wow.
You can come up with different ways to kind of, change up the morning routine a little bit. Add a little lion's mane to your coffee. You both drink coffee, yes?
Yep.
Yeah, the coffee is simple. You add your lion's mane powder directly to coffee, you drink it, you chug the whole thing.
Yeah, awesome. Real quick. So I think when people hear the word mushrooms, they think of, when we're talking about it in a culinary sense, they think about portobello mushrooms. You just buy a package at the store. When we talk about it in a spiritual sense, or not in a culinary sense, they think of psychoactive mushrooms or psychedelics, right? But you're talking about something completely different. You're talking about things like lion's mane, and people may not know a lot about other forms of mushrooms and their medicinal qualities. Can you tell us? Are there thousands of mushrooms out there? Is it just portobellos and psychedelics? What's out there?
Well, what you'll find in your grocery store, you'll got three varieties. You'll have creminis, you'll have white button mushrooms, and you'll have portobello mushrooms. Those are actually all the same species of mushroom. They're Agaricus biasperus, but they're grown under different settings to be able to achieve the result that you want. So for portobellos, you let the mushroom grow past the point of the cremini mushroom, which is going to be a smaller portobello, which hasn't opened its cap the whole way. So a white button mushroom is a variety, or it would be a genetic mutation that's occurred to allow for albinism. So the mushroom shows completely white throughout the whole of the tissue. Whereas with the portobello, you'll have your browns, you'll have more of that, standard mushroom color.
Yeah.
So mushrooms that I am familiar with, mushrooms that I work with, because there are millions of species of mushrooms out there. There are millions of species that have yet to be discovered. But some of the species that we know and we have tested through clinical trials that are beneficial and have medicinal value. You have lion's mane mushroom, that's Ericinum erinaceus. This mushroom has been proven in clinical trials to really help boost your nervous system, to be able to help your brains your neurons to rebuild. So there's something called the myelin sheath that goes around your neuron. And it basically, it's a tissue that speeds up the electrical pulses and impulses and reception that goes on in your brain and in your neurons and in your heart, because our heart actually has 100,000 times more neurons, as far as I'm concerned, 100,000 times more neurons in your brain. And electrical impulses go from your heart to your brain. So lion's mane helps to speed up those processes. And similar, PscilocYbin Guru, as it works in the brain, will help your brain to fire and to make connections between maybe your frontal lobe, your occipital lobe, your parietal lobes, different areas in your brain that have never communicated before. And now it's able to communicate. So you also have reishi mushrooms. Reishi is Ganoderma lingzi or Ganoderma resinaceum. This general genus is Ganoderma. It's a hardwood growing mushroom that produces alkaloids and active ingredients that are really powerful with grounding you and opening up your heart space. So it allows us to be fully present, fully aware. It has a large amount of benefits for the immune system and a lot of B vitamins. It helps your body to detoxify, and it helps your body to calm itself. So it's an adaptogen. Basically, when in stressful situations, the reishi mushroom will help your body to maintain a calm during stressful situations. So when stress goes like this, or life is like this, like waves, you have your peaks and your troughs, this is reishi mushroom. Straight balance throughout it all.
The line of truth.
Dude, yeah, that's literally what I was thinking. As you were speaking, I kept, go.
No,
go ahead.
Please.
I didn't know you until maybe about 2, 3, 4 years ago. Yeah, 3 or 4 years ago. And at the time, Liam started growing his hair out. You started growing your hair out, and I saw both of you were eating mushrooms. But basically, I watched both of your hair just like become this like glorious like mane. Is there proof for, in your experience, did you prove that like mushrooms, the consumption of it, like helps grow your hair more beautifully, helps with your nails, things like that? I was just curious.
Well, I
Does
cannot
it produce
say that I've
collagen?
been. Well, yeah, I have yet to pay full attention to my hair and nails as much. I will say that my hair did grow very, very fast. I went through a period of time where I was eating a lot of mushrooms. I mean, mushrooms were in every single meal. I had oyster mushrooms. I had, now I have oyster reishi, oyster lion's mane. I would consume portobellos pretty well consistently, but mainly the go-to's kind of been oyster. Anyway, in regards to hair and nails, I don't have much to say, but I do have much to say in regards to in my past relationship, the woman that I was dating, that I had been spending time with, prior to meeting me, she had not consumed mushrooms at all. In fact, she hated mushrooms. And I would cook mushrooms consistently every meal. So she went from never eating mushrooms to starting to consume mushrooms every single meal with me. And in the past, her body wasn't in as healthy or vibrant as a state as she was when she was consuming the mushrooms. And I can say this because she went through a long period of time where she was unable to, and doctors would say this, that she was unable to have a child or unable to give birth, right? Or her body couldn't physically form a child. And that's something that she had tried for 3 years with a husband of hers. Now I got her on mushrooms and a vegetable diet and lots of grains. And she very quickly became pregnant. So it was a pretty powerful experience. I can say that mushrooms do boost fertility, definitely. I'm almost going to guarantee that.
Wow. I wonder if there's any clinical studies around mushrooms or certain mushrooms boosting fertility. I haven't heard that before.
I think it has a lot to do with removing toxins. I think in the past she had a lot of toxins built up, and it would actually express itself through her skin. You could see that she would have breakouts a lot. When she started consuming mushrooms, her breakouts on her face went down to a minimum. So her acne basically disappeared. And she still consumes mushrooms now, and her acne is still gone. So
you said breakouts and also breakdowns. I'm sure that applied too. And when I asked the question, I realized that the answer was, well, yes, and I don't know. It's like, yeah, me consuming them again helped you like maintain this level of whatever the mushroom was. It helped you stay connected, right? Whichever form you took. So no matter what, just the consumption of it helped heal you, which led to perhaps hair growth, pregnancy, things like that, so.
Totally. Yeah.
Do you
go ahead, Liam.
Oh, I was going to ask, do you ever fear that maybe you're becoming a mushroom through your continuous consumption? Because
you are what you eat.
Yeah, so there's this really cool mushroom called cordyceps, right?
Oh, yes.
And cordyceps is one of those mushrooms I had yet to mention. But cordyceps has a really powerful vibration with it. Basically, the mushroom was found, it's kind of found all over the world, but what it does is it's a parasitic mushroom. So its spores end up on an ant. Let's say an ant breathes it in, or a worm, hornworm, or some kind of insect, right? And the mushroom will begin to produce mycelium, produce cells inside of the ant. And it will travel up the, I'm not sure if ants have some sort of spinal cord, but anyway, it'll basically take over the ant's brain. It'll tell the ant to leave the colony, to then crawl up a tree to the highest point of the forest, and then a mushroom will grow out of its head as it dies, and it will drop the spores from the highest point. So this mushroom is not only capable of controlling this ant's mind, but then it grows out of it. So these spores are everywhere. I do grow cordyceps mushrooms, so I probably inhale them all the time. We have yet to find a species of mushroom that's been able to control a human's mind, but I'm pretty much going to guarantee that since the one point in my life where I first took PscilocYbin mushrooms, the direction of my life has been towards growing, consuming, and being a mushroom. So yes, am I a mushroom? Absolutely.
Yes.
I beat around the bush for a bit, but I'm a freaking mushroom.
One thing that I'm first of all, I'm very inspired by, I want to go back and listen to this podcast, watch this podcast, and like come back next in another episode and tell you like my experience of consuming mushrooms a little more consistently. And one thing that I was thinking of that I need to look into more is something that Liam shared with me, and something you just spoke to is like, I could be getting some details wrong here, but mycelium basically just like grows everywhere, right? There are millions of types of, and I could be mixing up psychedelics with regular mushrooms, so please correct me, but essentially there's a network of mushrooms all throughout the world, and it's just like, it is almost like another form of the earth, I guess, or another layer of the earth.
A neural
we
network.
have the crust, the mantle, perhaps, a neural network above the ground and below. Could you speak on that a little bit?
Totally. So the mycelial network is a connection of many different species of mushroom, along with all the plants' roots in the soil. So you have mushrooms, or mycelium. Mycelium are the cells of the mushrooms. They're like the vegetative state. So before a plant flowers and produces a fruit, mycelium is the same as that vegetative plant or state of the plant, where it's growing leaves and it's increasing in its size. It's pulling nutrients from the soil. So that's what mycelium does. It produces enzymes and it pulls nutrients from the soil. Now, at the same time, mycelium acts as a connector between all the plants. So mycorrhizal fungi, or mycelium, is that which is capable of connecting to plant roots, even growing inside of plant roots, and connecting the orange tree with the lemon tree, with the bougainvillea, with the chard and cress and all these sorts of greens that you have in your garden. Or for example, with old growth forests, we have massive, massive colonies that span hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of miles. So you have mother trees, one tree that is maybe 50 miles away, and its seeds get dispersed by plants and animals and wind and erosion. And 50 miles away, you have these younger seedling trees. And through the mycelial network, they're connected over 50 miles so that nutrients, water, phosphorus, nitrogen, all these different nutrients that plants need are being passed from that tree, the mother tree, all the way to its seedlings 50 miles away. And every tree that has, let's say if one of the tree contracts a virus, or if there's a parasitic microbe or bug that is destroying one of the trees, you'll have this sharing of nutrients from those which are very healthy into the tree that is being damaged, is being destroyed. So there's a community, a powerful community of mycelium underneath your feet when you're walking in Oregon and Washington. When we're walking in our own neighborhoods, there's powerful colonies of mycelium. That being said, when we're walking in our neighborhoods, we're generally on cement or on sidewalk. We're on that which is covering our connection to the natural resource which is present, being the mycelium network. The mycelium network is not only capable of helping plants, but they produce enzymes, they produce nutrients, so that when we walk over the top of them, not only do they sense us, but they're giving us nutrients. They're helping our body to fight things like viruses. It's a first line of defense along with our skin. What we inoculate ourselves with, what we cover our skin with. When I dig in the soil for planting, if I have healthy mycorrhizal fungi, mycelium, that will inoculate my skin and protect me as my first line of defense against pathogens.
Wow.
I
Dude,
love
I
it,
couldn't
man.
have heard it better than a White House press brief.
I love it, man. I love it. You're a young Paul Stamets.
Young Paul?
Young Paul Stamets. We got to get you a Amadou mushroom hat.
Yes. Yo, someone that I think everybody should check out, because Paul Stamets is a little older. Let's say he's maybe in his 50s, still super young, super down-to-earth guy. He gives a lot of really good information. He runs a great business. Check out William Padilla Brown. This guy is a young genius, man. He makes good music. He's very creative. He's very outgoing in the community. And everywhere he is, he brings together the community to be able to grow mushrooms. He teaches lessons. He helps people start up their own grow operations in their own house. So someone can say, oh, I need reishi mushroom, or I need turkey tail, I need chaga, I need these different species of mushroom. He goes, oh, well, I'll teach you how to do it. And I'll do that free of charge, right? He's a really powerful guy. So William Padilla Brown. You can check him out on Instagram, MycoSymbiote. That's a shout out right there. Yeah.
MycoSymbiote or micro?
MycoSymbiote.
Awesome. Yeah, and Austin, we do have to start wrapping up. We didn't even get to half the questions, which is awesome because we'd love to have you on for another episode. You are absolutely a wealth of knowledge. And how can people connect with you?
So just like William, what I'm doing is, well, number one, I run a farm. So I basically started a farm 7 months ago. I'm growing mushrooms. I'm working with lion's mane specifically right now as a culinary mushroom and medicinal mushroom, and I have reishi mushrooms. So if you want access to reishi or lion's mane, I'll be working with chaga, turkey tail, cordyceps, many different species in the future. You can check out my Instagram. I have Watkins Through Life, WATKINSTHRULIFE. And yeah, I have a website for our farm. It's called angelhillsfarms.com. You can contact me, shoot me a DM via Instagram, or go check out our website. You can purchase our items online. We offer lion's mane powder, which is just the dehydrated fruit body. So you'll get the most nutrients out of that. And if you want fresh mushrooms, we can get you fresh mushrooms. Depending where you are, we'll ship it to you. If you're in the San Diego area, I'll drive it out to you, or you come pick it up. So hopefully that answers your question.
Absolutely. Yeah. Man, honestly, I'll say it again. You're a wealth of knowledge, and you're inspiring. And I'm so glad to have been able to do this podcast with you.
It's my absolute pleasure. May I share something briefly?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So if you're looking to get mushroom products, there's many different groups that are producing mushrooms right now. So as right now, again, I produce only a few species, but if you check out realmushrooms.com, they're a good group. They grow their mushrooms in an organic and sustainable method. They have pure fruit body powders. So if you're looking for the most amount of nutrients that you can get right now, check out realmushrooms.com. You can get reishi, turkey tail, chaga, lion's mane, cordyceps, and they come in a powdered form. Now, if you work with groups like Om mushrooms, if you work with groups like Fungi Perfecti, a lot of their mushrooms are cultivated on organic oats. So now growing on grain is a way that you can grow, definitely, and it's effective. But when they turn them into powders, your powder is containing a vast majority of it is grain that's been decomposed or broken down by mycelium. So you're getting the mycelium, you're getting the fruit body, and you're getting a lot of grain. So when I grow my mushrooms, I just grow the fruit body. I do it off of sustainable sawdust. And then I take those fruit bodies and dehydrate and give it to you. So you're getting the pure fruit body. So those who might have a gluten intolerance, or those who are looking to keep out grains as a really intense, quick sugar spike, then I would look towards realmushrooms.com, or I would look towards a group that says 100% fruit body, not 100% fruit body and mycelium cultured on oats, because it's oats, a lot of grain. But teach their own. They're still powerful groups, and if that's all that you have options for, go ahead and get it, because it's going to serve you. It'll really benefit you either way.
Okay. Awesome.
Right.
Awesome.
Before I wrap it up, the mushrooms I can find at Trader Joe's, thumbs up or down?
Depends on what you're looking for, but totally thumbs up. Thumbs up. All mushrooms, thumbs up.
All right.
Trader Joe's, they'll do pill form, powders. You'll get the most that you can get out of powder. If you found a powder packet, the pill form, you'll be paying a lot more for the actual manufacture of taking a little gel pill and then pouring the powder into it and then closing it. So you're paying for someone's time more than for the actual mushroom powder. Go for the powders.
Obviously we could talk and talk and talk. I have so many questions. I'm incredibly inspired. So thank you, Austin. Thank you, Liam, for bringing your brother on and for allowing him to share this knowledge with us. And I hope you guys enjoy this episode. You can find all of the information that we talked about as far as how to find Austin. Liam, will you put in link to Michael Padilla Brown?
In the description box below, we'll have all of Austin's information, his Instagram tags, and then some of the companies that he recommends as well.
Dope. So
appreciative.
With that,
thank you guys for having me.
Thank you, brother. Thank you guys for watching Why on Earth.
Woo-wee!